All right, you entered a plea of guilty on May 23rd. According to your plea bargain agreement, punishment is to be assessed at a cap of 7 years in the prison. There's a $1,500 fine, and the state is silent on your
VO rewrite, so the state stays silent, doesn't offer help, doesn't offer guidance. Just tosses it all in Judge Boyd's lap. That's not compassion, that's passing the buck. Be honest, would you want to be the one stuck defusing this legal time bomb?
application. Have both parties had a chance to review the PSI report?
We have, Judge.
Any objections to the PSI report from either side?
No, Judge.
All right. State, you are silent. Defense, do you have any witnesses?
Yes, Judge. I would like to call Maria Rivas.
All right. They'll come forward, please. All right. Could you raise your right hand for me, please? Do you solemnly swear affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God? All right. You can lower your hand. State your name for the record.
Antonio Rosales. All right. And Judge, if I could, I guess, kind of give you some backstory from maybe the if I missed any facts. So this incident took place in 2022. My client was the driver of a car. There were several other young men in the car with him with this incident. He participated in this. Subsequent to that incident, my client had been, I guess, arrested, and then Mike Beliveau had represented him. That charge had been dismissed. And since that time, Ethan he got a job. He became a licensed security guard, passed his level 3, and I think, had turned his life around from this incident. And then this charge came back up, and that's what brings us here today.
So I can be sure. So he became a licensed security guard, then this charge popped up.
Yes, then this subsequent charge. So he had passed all his levels. He was licensed to carry a firearm as a security guard. He passed all the testing, all the background checks. And then I guess the case got refiled as a deadly conduct. At least 2 of the other juveniles in the car with him, I think.
VO rewrite. Pay attention to others from that very car are already facing capital murder charges. Ethan's not. At least not yet. But the pressure's building fast. And here's the kicker. While all that was unfolding, Ethan was out working security with a gun. Let that sink in for a second.
Subsequently, he had been arrested and charged with capital murder, and which is why he's here as a co-defendant on the deadly conduct charge. So obviously, the boys who were with that night, it's noted in the office report, who after work had gone to this naked kid's house, and that's how he ended up being involved in this situation.
And the capital murder charge has absolutely nothing to do with this offense.
So I guess what I just wanted to point out to the court is, since this incident in 2022, Ethan has turned his life around, has a good, productive job. He's still working as a security guard, not carrying a firearm, but just a lower level of security guard. And the reason I wanted his dad up here is to speak to a couple of things. First of all, about the changes in Ethan since then, and also about the job opportunities he's got. So, may I proceed? So, Tony, I know you and I have had several conversations about Ethan, what happened that night. Can you tell the court what sort of attitude or behavior you've seen out of Ethan since this incident back in 2022?
Before and since this incident. I mean, that night he used very, very poor judgment. I mean, he made a very bad decision, but he acknowledges it. His family acknowledges it. We all acknowledge what he did, and like I said, like you just said, we all assumed it was resolved, and we can start trying to remove this from him, and he proceeded to get his commission with the state. In fact, the day he was arrested with the indictment, he was on his way to work. He was carrying his firearm. He was in uniform, and then everything came crashing down again. But that's why I was stopping. We talked about him going to St. Philip's College.
Let me ask you something. Well, I have to ask you one more question.
Okay, I'm sorry.
So, what kind of work do you do?
Oh, I'm an agency manager. Well, the growing leadership.
Okay.
Been doing that for the last decade and a half.
Okay, and so you and I have talked about Ethan's opportunities in the oil field, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and you and I have discussed these. Ethan, I guess the goal is if he gets probation, that he wants to apply to be a commercial flood driver.
Yeah, he's already set up for the SAFE program at St. Philip's College, but we have to wait to see what happens.
Okay, and then I guess as part of that, if he gets if he's able to finish his program as a commercial flood driver, he has a lot of opportunities for work in the oil field and the oil industry, correct?
Yeah. Oh, well, as a service provider, not directly in the oil field, but as a service provider, yes.
Okay. And can you tell the court what a service provider is?
So basically, you'd be transporting materials back and forth. Depending on the outcome of this court, will determine whether or not you can get his quit.
Okay, tell the court what this is.
Transportation work identification card. There are federal and felony restrictions to that. It's not always 100% that you won't be able to get his quit, but you could always get a waiver. The thing is it will limit his opportunities to be able to get a quit card if he doesn't get a waiver too. That means he's still working with the CDL. He just won't have as much opportunities for his family as he normally would.
But I guess what you're telling the court is Ethan has a lot of opportunities and possibilities facing him. Correct?
Yes.
Okay. And I guess I didn't see any violation reports or anything that's been filed. Has Ethan been living with you since the incident?
100%. Yeah. I mean, all he does is work and come home and play on the Xbox. I mean, that's basically all he does.
Okay. So you haven't had any problems with him?
No.
Okay. And I guess, are you asking the court to give him an opportunity at probation?
Absolutely. I mean, he's not been in trouble before this or since that.
And we went over the PSI together, right? You saw how serious the offense was, right?
Yes, and I would not. I mean, it's hard for me to say because obviously I want to do everything. I mean, I've gotten part of the lawyer. I did everything I can to try to get him out of jail, get him out of prison because that's not where he belongs. But to be honest with you, I read it and I understand what he did, and even as his father.
VO rewrite. Now this is rare a father in court who doesn't run from the truth. He's read that PSI, knows exactly how bad it looks, and still stands up asking for mercy. Is that denial, or a deep belief that his son can change? What do you hear in his voice?
So I can't say that I wouldn't have the same feeling from the same statement that they made in the PSI.
Well, I think it's good that you're honest about the situation and recognize the severity of the situation, but also understand that hopefully with given the opportunity you can be successful.
Yes, sir.
Okay. That's all I have to say. And Judge, I given these to Megan. These are just some of his withholding stuff and some of the state licensing stuff. That's all I have.
May I ask you a question?
Of course.
Oh. In regards to this incident, was he living with you during this time?
Yes.
And these people he was involved with, did you know them beforehand?
No. If I could clarify a little bit.
Sure.
So, military, firefighter, paramedic, when you go all the but prior to COVID, and actually up past COVID, I worked overseas, Venezuela, Africa, Mozambique. So I was gone quite a bit. So he predominantly stayed with me when I was in country, which was for 3 weeks at a time, every other month. But the rest of the time he stayed with his mother on that side of town. So yes, he had those friends and everything happened on the west side of town, southwest side of town. I live on towards Florida off of 181. Since this incident, I've been home 100% of the time. I work in West Texas. And yes, he lives with me 100% of the time now. So I'm not saying it's an excuse, but it's definitely not an excuse. I was absent a lot with him growing up because I was overseas. But it's not an excuse because I was still there every other month. It's not a lot of quality time. It might not have been quantity, but it's quality time. And to know that this was not what he should have done. But yes, now I'm with him 100%. Or rather, he's with me 100% of the time.
All right. And did he talk to you about this incident?
Yes.
Immediately thereafter?
You know, it took some prodding to me, more so because he felt when he did break down, you know, you could tell that he was more ashamed of the fact that he did something that he let me down. I not necessarily overbearing, but military and paramedic, and I kind of a little bit structured a little bit when I was with my kids, both my kids. And so when he did break down and let me know about everything that happened, obviously I told him we need to do something about it. And in 2023, when we thought it was going to all be resolved in December, January with Michael, yeah, we said, okay, let's get back on track. And time and take the money for him to get his commission with the state, and you know, follow and work with his mother's commission as well. And so that's going to do that fine. But we need to figure out the job. We need to figure out a career. So we've been talking about the CDL and getting with him in the oil field and trying to get away from. He has not been with those friends, or well, obviously they're locked up, but he's not been involved with anybody in that type of nonsense.
Thank you. Any other questions?
No, good.
And I know you're silent, but any questions about?
I know you created a deal. Did you get a police report from this case? Or?
Not since the incident, yes, but not.
So, I mean, you understand that you signed an agreement with these individuals. These individuals told him, hey, this is what we're going to go do. Your son agreed to go with them.
Yes.
And your son did fire his firearm into that house.
Yes, he did.
And it was occupied by multiple people. There were 2 2-year-olds inside the house.
Yeah, and I told him, despite the fact that they didn't believe him that it was there, so far.
And, I mean, besides the 2 2-year-olds that were there were other adult individuals in the room as well.
Yes.
And one of the victims described that there were over 200 bullet holes inside the window.
Yes.
And your son was aware of this and agreed to engage in this conduct.
From what I understand, and only from my son, is that he didn't think it was going to be all what it ended up becoming. Yes, he knew what they were going to go do, but he didn't believe it was going to be as impactful as it was.
So, I guess, my understanding, he just didn't believe that he was occupied with. He understood that.
Yeah, but he didn't understand that they were going to do that much damage. They ended up doing.
But he still engaged.
Yes.
In fire.
Yes.
Any other questions?
VO rewrite to 100 bullet holes with toddlers inside the house. And even claims he thought no one was home. Really? That's not a slip-up, that's a war zone. This wasn't just a bad choice, this was an assault on an entire neighborhood.
Right, thank you so much, and thank you for giving me some insights into your son.
So,
any of the witnesses?
yes, Judge, I do want to call Axel. I have some issues, I think, as far as the state's going to be silent. I think cross-examining the witnesses in the manner in which Megan is doing, I think, kind of exceeds the scope of the silence.
All right, well, the court will note that according to the plea bargain agreement, the state is silent, but they are able to address fact issues.
Well, I understand addressing fact issues, but my understanding is addressing fact issues is part of argument if I'm mistaken, and I have no objection to that.
Okay. All right, the court will note your any objections you have with regards to this witness.
Thank you. And Judge, so I'd like to call Ethan Gonzalez.
You raise your right hand for me, please. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God? All right, you can lower your hand, state your name for the record. All right, defense, you may proceed.
So, Ethan, you and I reviewed the PSI, and yes, over the course of my representation, we discussed the incident in question, right, repeatedly, and we discussed the boys you were with that night, and obviously the path they went on in their life, right? you're just going to end up in prison for life or on death row, depending on whatever election the state has made. And so that kind of tells you the people you're not. And I know you expressed regret about what happened to the people that you met with the probation officer. But I guess when you looked over the PSI and you saw who was in the house, right, you understand, I mean, how lucky you weren't here on murder or capital murder. So let's talk about your life since then. So I know your dad said after Mr. Belleville got the first charge dismissed, you went out and got your security license, right? And level 3 is the highest level, correct?
You're level 4.
Okay.
That's right.
Okay. So you took all these tests, you passed background checks, you got a job, you seem to have your life back on track, right? And then, of course, this new case came in. So obviously the judge has a decision to make about what happens with your life, right? So if you're given the opportunity at probation, you heard your dad talk about the opportunities you have. Do you think you'll be able to take advantage of those opportunities? Is there anything else you want to tell the judge about what happened that night, or anything you want to say to the people involved?
Yeah, I just want to say I'm sorry. I didn't know who was in there. That doesn't affect my decision. I made my mind. But it stopped me a lot from job opportunities and moving forward in life to make more money and to be successful.
Okay, but the reason it stopped you is because of the decision you made, right? Okay. So I guess if given the opportunity, you'll be able to comply with any orders or conditions the judge proposes. I'm looking for.
All right. Any objections to the court asking?
No, not at all.
Walk me through this. Friends come to you. Were they your friends?
That's all for work.
All right. So how did you meet them? How did you all become friends?
Growing up in the school, playing basketball.
All right. Were these your only friends?
Yeah.
All right. So explain to me how this happened. You have some friends who come to you. So they come to you, and what do they say?
All night.
Yes.
Ended up going to their house and they didn't know.
All right. So you go to their house. Did they call you and say, "Hey, come over. Let's have, let's meet"? Or how did it come to be that you ended up at their home?
I was just getting off work. I ended up stopping by their house. They let me know.
All right. So you stop by their house. I like to do things step by step. So you stop by their house. What do you do when you get there? Are you all playing video games? And so you're playing video games, and tell me how the conversation goes.
They had information somebody who was in the house. Basically, was down the street. So that's get out of.
Well, no. Because I'm trying to figure things out, and I'm trying to figure out what your mindset is. I think your attorney and other people, if somebody comes to them and say, "Hey, we're playing video games, but come with me. We're going to go shoot up this house. Here's your gun. Let's go shoot up this house." I'm trying to figure out what your mindset was and all of that. So you're playing video games. Were you drinking?
Yeah.
All right. So you're not drinking. You're sober. Were they drinking?
Mm-hmm.
So they're not drinking. They're sober. So how does the conversation go?
It was more of a retaliation.
No. I mean, like, what's the conversation? You're sitting, you're playing video games. Maybe somebody's, talking trash about, you can't win, I beat you. Then what's the next conversation? Hey, there's a person down the street. We don't like that person. We're going to go shoot up their house. We want you to come with us. I'm trying to figure out how the conversation went from You're playing video games. Maybe y'all are trash talking to each other about, I'm beating you, you can't win. You know, I trash talk during Mortal Kombat. So you're playing the video game. How does the conversation go? Who says, and if you don't want to name names, you don't have to name the specific names, but, who brings up the conversation and says, hey, we have some guns, we're going to go shoot up this house down the street? How does that conversation happen?
So I was at work, I got there, we were playing games, they let me know that they had information.
Who's they? So what she's at, what she's trying to get is specific conversation. Yeah, he brought it up.
All right, so the conversation starts with Chris. Chris says, what?
Somebody else, worry about somebody.
All right, so did he tell you why there was this want or need to retaliate against someone?
Yes, there's a stopping period.
So he tells you, hey, look, somebody shot at me previously, and I just received information that this person is at this house down the street. Is that how it went? All right, so he tells you that. Then what's the next thing that's said?
I was going with the car. They basically asked me to go. It was more of an impulse decision.
No, let's not do basically, because I'm trying to figure out what your mindset is, because I have to make a decision on whether or not to grant your application. So he tells you, I have information on the person who shot me. The person who shot me is at this location. All right. Thank you for imparting that information to me, Chris. So where does the conversation go from there?
They asked me to go.
All right, so they're saying, hey, let's go down the street. Now, when they say, let's go down the street, I'm sure it's not, let's go down the street. What was said?
They said that we were going to go to the house.
All right. And so, did you bring a gun to that location?
No.
Oh. All right, so you got off work, you don't have a weapon, and they're saying, hey, let's go down the street and shoot up the house. All right, so where does the gun part come in for you?
They had guns there, so it's one with me.
Well, did they say, hey, you take a gun? Or did you just say, all right, let's do this, and you grab a gun on your own? So you grab a gun, they grab their guns, and at no point in this do you say, you know who shot at you previously, let's call the police and let the police know that this person is down the street. Nobody says that. All right, so you get a gun that's been provided, and you all get in the vehicle, and are you driving? So what happens next?
We drove about 2 blocks down the street, and that's the house.
Okay, so the house is 2 blocks down the street. And what are you thinking as you're driving to this location?
It was more of an adrenaline rush.
And how old were you?
19.
All right, so you're 19. You're getting an adrenaline rush, and you drive to the house. And how far was that house from where you were playing video games?
Say about 3 minutes.
And nobody thought.
VO rewrite. They claim it all began over an Xbox and spiraled into a drive-by. But let's be real, Ethan got in the car, brought the gun, and pulled the trigger. That's where the excuses end. The second he fired, this wasn't about influence anymore, it was about owning his choices.
So you guys are not going to walk. You're going to drive in 3 minutes. All right. So you're in the vehicle. You all pull upside the house. Then what happens?
We all got out and started the house.
You call out?
We all got out and started the house.
Okay. Oh. And then after you shoot the house, what do?
We go back to the house.
So you get back in the vehicle. And you drive back to the home. And does anybody say anything? All right, so then you go back to playing video games. And at some point, did you leave that house to go home? And did you talk to anybody
man, I was pulled over. I can't remember the timeline, maybe an hour, 2 hours after. But yes, it was an area I got pulled over.
Oh, any further questions?
No, Jim.
I just have one. So I guess when you were pulled over, you just immediately respond to you ended up in a crash, right? And you're saying that that firearm did not come on, you got it from the other people that you hang out with? Okay, and it was located in your car, right? And then you told police on that day that you threw it out to get rid of it.
All right, you can see
Just on these.
All right, the court will hear argument.
So, Judge, obviously this is a really severe fact pattern. The one thing I would note is I don't think up until this incident, Ethan had any criminal history, and I think since then he's turned his life around. Obviously, maybe to make the court aware of it. At least two of the other boys involved are in jail on capital murder charges. Obviously, he was definitely running with the boys that night. That being said, obviously he made the decision. He accepts his responsibility for it. He understands what he did and how lucky he is that nobody's dead. What I'd ask the court to consider is since 2022, he's turned his life around. He had and lost a good job, and that's his fault because of the situation he put himself in. But I do think the court can look and see that over 3 years since this incident, he stayed out of trouble. He's, I think, on a good trajectory in life and has a lot of opportunities in front of him. I'd ask the court to consider, obviously there's a bunch of different possibilities the court can consider. Obviously, the most important thing as far as I see is the court grant either regular probation or deferred. Obviously, deferred would be a great opportunity for him moving forward as far as employment. But I'd ask the court to just consider some form of supervision, just to recognize that it started this horrible situation that he got involved in. He's really shown himself to be a different person than he was when he was 19 years old, and I think he's got a good path in front of him. I'd ask the court to grant his application either deferred or regular with whatever conditions the court feels are appropriate, and I think he'll be able to do it successfully. I think the court will see him again.
Oh. This is a difficult case, and let me just tell you why it's a difficult case. It's a difficult case in that when you have children, people always say when you punish a child or give punishment to a child, it needs to be done immediately because otherwise they've done other things that shows that they've internalized what they've done wrong and they've made changes. So it's regretful that this case wasn't done sooner, and that's no fault through the prosecutors in this court. Sometimes cases are not indicted.
VO rewrite, the judge didn't hold back call at the cost of doing business. But here's the twist: the victim wasn't clean either, had a record of his own. So now the question is, does that change how much justice he's owed? Sound off in the comments says one's complicated.
But here's my issue. When people get together in these groups and they decide to commit crimes together, sometimes if one person would have said, no, I'm not doing that. For example, it sounds to me like people were lazy. They didn't want to walk for 3 minutes. Probably people said, yeah, I'm not going to drive. I'm not a part of this. Who knows? Maybe they wouldn't have done that day. I'm looking at the complainants too. Sometimes, well, I'm just going to say it. Some things are the cost of doing business, right? If you sell drugs, you're probably going to go to prison. You may end up getting killed. Cost of doing business. If you're a gang member, you may end up getting shot and die. Cost of doing business. If you shoot up someone's home and they come back and shoot up your home, cost of doing business. That probably will happen. But we can't have people running around lawlessly. And that's my issue. So the young children in that house, they were not a part of the cost of doing business. And I see that there's some issue for restitution. And honestly, I don't want to give restitution to somebody who shoots at somebody else, and then somebody comes to their home to shoot up their home, and now you want restitution. That's sort of like the cost of doing business. I'll hear restitution amounts, but it's really the cost of doing business. And I don't think they should benefit from, as we learned in law school, they have dirty hands. So they should not be benefiting with restitution. So the state is offering a cap of 7 years. I just don't think this is a case that's appropriate for probation. Counsel, I'll consider, I'll retain jurisdiction.
Okay.
So,
Can I speak to the cap?
yes.
Well, I appreciate the court retaining jurisdiction. So, Judge, I'd ask the court to take into consideration that it's been 3 years since the incident. He's not gotten any more trouble. He's been retaining employment. And obviously, if he does well in the court ranks and shot, then I think he'll still have a good future in front of him. I'd ask the court to assess sentence of 3 years TDC while retaining jurisdiction.
All right, so the state was silent on his applications, but I don't think they were silent on the cap.
I think that covers. I think silent is silent. I think it's entirely up to the court. I don't think if the state wanted to make argument, then they could have opposed.
All right. Well, I will tell you this. According to the plea bargaining agreement, it says the state will make no recommendations to the application for deferred or community supervision. But state, if you have nothing to say with regards to the cap, the court will make its own decision based upon the stipulations, the PSI report, and defense's argument. All right. So this is what the court is going to do. There's going to be a $1,500 fine. Time and money run concurrent. The court will sentence you to 4 years in the prison to be credit for any time served. With regard to the restitution, and I'm serious about with regards to the restitution, you really need to come to court with clean hands. You can't be a part of this life and then want restitution. But state, was there any restitution? All right, so here's the question for the court. Were there any receipts provided to defense counsel?
No, Judge, and I guess if we get to a hearing on the motion to shot, I guess we can have a restitution hearing at that time. I mean, it sounds to me like they just provided an amount to.
Well, here's my question: were there any receipts? Oh, so the court doesn't have any receipts before it with regards to restitution.
So, Judge, I guess barring that, I don't think the court can impose restitution based upon estimates or just generic statements from complainants.
So at this point in time, the court does not have any concrete evidence, not even preponderance of the evidence. The court doesn't even have a preponderance of the evidence for restitution. So at this time, the court is going to say there's $0 for restitution. Is there anything else with regards to sentencing?
No, Judge.
All right. Did you review the document entitled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Rights to Appeal with your attorney? Did you understand it and sign it? All right. Because this is a plea bargain agreement, because I followed your plea bargain agreement, and because you waive your right to appeal, you do not have the court's permission to appeal. Because this is a felony conviction, you're not allowed to own or possess any weapons or ammunition. If you have a question over what weapon or ammunition is, you'll need to speak to an attorney. Do you understand? All right, off the record. Here's the thing. If you strongly want the court to consider perhaps giving you short probation, you had better show me something that you are doing while you are in custody at the prison. Do you understand? All right, good luck to you. Is there a victim impact?